Holy Gospel according to Luke, the 23rd chapter. When they came to the place that is called the Skull, they crucified Jesus there with the criminals, one on his right and one on his left. Then Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." And they cast lots to divide his clothing, and the people stood by watching. But the leaders scoffed at him, saying, "He saved others. Let him save himself if he is the Messiah of God, his chosen one." The soldiers also mocked him, coming up and offering him sour wine, and saying, "If you are the king of the Jews, save yourself." There was also an inscription over him, "This is the King of the Jews." One of the criminals who were hanging kept deriding him, saying, "Are you not the Messiah? Save yourself and us." But the other rebuked him, saying, "Do you not fear God, since you are under the same sentence of condemnation? And we indeed have been condemned justly, for we are getting what we deserved for our deeds, but this man has done nothing wrong." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." He replied, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
You may be seated. So we are now in the week of Thanksgiving. It's our country's long-standing tradition of gathering around a table of turkey and cranberry sauce to give thanks with family and friends. Sometimes this tradition includes putting up with sitting around a table with family and friends. In response to this, to keep things as calm as possible, I've heard this common refrain: no talking religion or politics around the table. And perhaps that's a smart thing. There are other times and places for those conversations. So in lieu of talking religion and politics this Thursday, I'll talk about it now. I'm preaching politics. Now, before you become uncomfortable, let me explain what I mean. If we see beyond our national debates of Republican versus Democrat and conservative versus liberal, politics is simply about how we live our life together in community, as a family, as a city, as a country. In other words, politics is all about understanding how we are to be stewards of the power, of our power in our life together. And God very much cares how we use the power that we have. And on this Christ the King Sunday, it is important to remember that to say Christ is King is a political statement. And I suspect, if we're being honest with ourselves, we have not always been good stewards of our power. When we understand that power is a gift from God to benefit and bless others, it is not difficult to see that we're better at hoarding and protecting our power. Indeed, in this world of sin, we easily abuse our power for personal gain. We easily get caught up in cycles that demand more control, more recognition, more social capital. And we easily forget that our worth is not found in those things. And sometimes this selfish need for power is apparent in ourselves or in other people. But many times we participate in this cycle without even knowing. You know, as I was typing this sermon on my laptop, I caved into the urge to check how many people liked an article I posted on Facebook. It's a small action. But in that way, I get caught in this same cycle when I pin too much value on the power of knowing that people like what I've contributed. And by itself, that's not bad at all. It is important and good to be recognized. But it can be damaging when I see the number of likes as more important than the real people behind the screen. And social media is just a microcosm of our whole life together, of our politics. We all fall prey to the cycle of selfish power in our life together. Power is good. Power is a gift from God, but indeed, we easily abuse our power for personal gain. But see, Christ our King reorients all power to God. Jesus, the incarnate God, has all authority, has all power. And Jesus comes face to face with all powers, whether they be found in the religious leaders, or the politicians, or even the demons themselves. Jesus says to all of them, repent, turn around, give that power to God, our Creator, who is all powerful. As our second reading so beautifully states, it was in Jesus Christ that all things in heaven and earth were created, things visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or powers, all things have been created through him and for him. To follow Jesus, then, is to follow how Jesus stewarded his power. And as we read in our gospel, Jesus, the all-powerful, empties himself of all power. Jesus gives it all away on that cross. He gives it away so that we might live. It is the giving away of power that the true compassionate power of God is revealed. And it's revealed that cross, that ultimate symbol of the abuse of power, becomes powerless. And what is replaced is forgiveness, love, reconciliation, and resurrection. And it is in our own powerlessness, having given all of our power to God, that we can pray that sacred prayer, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And we reorient to God. When we bear that same cross, we represent, a political term, we represent the powerful love of Christ anew. That we can use the power that we have as a blessing to bless our neighbor. That we can live together with an ethic of compassion, of the giving of ourselves. And imagine what a new world that would create, where politicians would be bearers of peace, where our worth would be measured not by likes, but by the image of God imprinted on us, where we could live our life together under the powerful love of Christ. And thanks be to God that we don't have to wait. We can start living that life now, where Christ, our King, is our politic, our life together. Amen.